$100. Not a forecast, not a thumbnail designed to make you click, a transaction price. What a buyer in Shanghai paid for an ounce of silver today, while the COMEX screen in New York said 88. Now, one of two things is true. Either Shanghai is wrong and overpaying by $12 per ounce, which would make the most sophisticated industrial buyers on the planet irrational, or COMEX is wrong, and the price your broker shows you is a fiction that's running out of time. I know which one the math supports, and by the end of this video, you will too. But I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to present 5 pieces of evidence, give you the strongest counterargument for each one, and let you deliver the verdict yourself. Because this is too important for hype. It deserves a trial. And I'll tell you right now, the 5th piece of evidence is the one that ties the entire case together. It's the one most analysts are ignoring completely because it doesn't fit the chart they want to show you. It changes the timeline on everything. Don't skip to it. The first 4 pieces are the foundation. John A.G. here. Receipts over opinions. Let's go. Disclaimer, not financial advice, not a recommendation. This is education on market structure and pricing mechanics. Your money, your decisions. Do your own research. Evidence number 1, the recycler price. Forget the exchange for a moment. Forget Shanghai futures, COMEX futures, London spot. I want to talk about the dirtiest, most honest corner of the silver market, the recycler market. These are the companies in China that collect scrap electronics, industrial waste, spent solar panels, and used medical equipment. They extract the silver, refine it, and sell it back to manufacturers. Their business model depends on buying silver below its resale value. They have zero tolerance for overpaying. Zero. Their margins are thin. Their competition is fierce. If they pay too much, they go bankrupt. And today, Chinese recyclers are offering the equivalent of $96 per ounce. I need you to sit with that for a second. A recycler, whose entire survival depends on paying less than the market price, is paying $96. Your screen says $88. What does the recycler know that your screen doesn't? The answer is simple. The recycler sells to factories. The factories set the price they're willing to pay based on their production needs. If a solar panel manufacturer in Shenzhen needs silver paste to keep an assembly line running that employs 3,000 people and fulfills government contracts worth billions, they'll pay whatever it takes. The recycler is just the messenger. And the message is that the real acquisition cost of silver in China's industrial economy has decoupled from the Western benchmark. The counterargument. Recycler prices include local taxes, logistics premiums, and quality adjustments. A $96 recycler bid doesn't mean silver is worth $96 globally. It means it's worth $96 in that specific supply chain at that specific moment. Fair point, I'll grant that. But even if you strip out every possible local premium, you're still looking at a gap of $6 to $8 over the COMEX price. That's not taxes, that's scarcity. Evidence number 2, the Shanghai futures premium. The SHFE front-month silver contract settled at approximately 22,634 yuan per kilogram this morning. Convert that through today's exchange rate and you land near $98 per ounce. The COMEX March contract is trading around $88. That's a $10 premium on a regulated government-supervised exchange where physical settlement is the norm. Let me explain why this premium specifically is different from a typical post-holiday spike. When Shanghai closes for a week and Western markets move higher during the holiday, you expect a gap on reopening. That's mechanical. Orders accumulate, price adjusts, normal. But what matters is whether the premium compresses quickly or persists. A post-holiday gap that closes within 24 to 48 hours is just the market catching up. A premium that holds for 3 or more sessions is structural. It means the tightness isn't a backlog clearing, it's a shortage manifesting. As of this recording, the premium is persisting. It is not closed. And the reason it hasn't closed is my 3rd piece of evidence. Evidence number 3. Arbitrage is broken. In a healthy commodity market, a $10 price difference between 2 exchanges gets closed by arbitrageurs within hours. The mechanics are textbook. Buy cheap silver in New York, ship it to Shanghai, sell at the premium, pocket the profit. That buying raises the New York price, that selling lowers the Shanghai price. The gap disappears. Market forces working exactly as designed. But arbitrage requires a physical act. You have to take delivery of actual metal, load it, ship it, clear customs, deliver it. And for that chain to work, the metal has to be available. COMEX registered silver, the metal sitting on the delivery counter with warrants issued ready for fulfillment, is at approximately 88 million ounces. That sounds like a lot until you realize that open interest on the COMEX represents multiples of that number. The leverage ratio between paper claims and deliverable metal has been estimated at anywhere from 10 to 18 to 1, depending on how you measure it. For every physical ounce available for delivery, there are 10 to 18 paper claims saying I could ask for this ounce. The system works as long as almost nobody asks. The moment asking increases even modestly, the vaults can't keep up. And the arbitrage that's supposed to close the Shanghai premium? Each ounce that flows east to capture that premium is one less ounce available for COMEX delivery. The cure makes the disease worse. This is the mechanism most analysts miss. In a physical squeeze, arbitrage doesn't close the price gap. It exposes it. It proves the gap exists because the metal is scarce. And every arbitrage trade that succeeds drains the Western vault system further, making the next arbitrage trade harder and the gap wider. The premium feeds itself. And this isn't theoretical. We've seen this exact dynamic play out in another commodity market recently. In March 2022, nickel on the London Metal Exchange experienced a delivery squeeze when a major short position couldn't source enough physical metal to cover. The price spiked 250% in 2 days. The exchange suspended trading, canceled completed transactions retroactively, changed the rules of the game while the game was being played. Lawsuits followed. Confidence in the LME as a reliable pricing mechanism was permanently damaged. Now, I'm not saying silver is about to spike 250%. The COMEX is a different exchange with different tools, but the pattern is identical. Paper promises exceed physical availability. Arbitrage is supposed to balance the system, but instead drains it. And the price gap that should close keeps widening because the metal isn't there to close it. The LME nickel squeeze didn't happen because someone planned a conspiracy. It happened because the system was designed for normal conditions and encountered abnormal conditions. The gap between design and reality was settled in volatility. Silver's design-reality gap is widening right now. How it gets settled is the open question. The counter-argument. Arbitrage is slow, not broken. Shipping logistics take time. Give it 2 weeks, and the premium will close as metal flows east. Maybe, but 2 weeks from now is mid-March. And between now and then, we have first notice day on Friday, February 27th, where COMEX longs decide whether to stand for physical delivery. If arbitrage is pulling metal east at the same time, domestic delivery demand is pulling metal into the hands of contract holders. The registered inventory is being attacked from 2 directions simultaneously. That's not a system clearing normally, that's a system being pulled apart. Evidence number 4. The delivery calendar. First notice day is Friday. I've covered the mechanics in detail in previous videos. The short version is this. Friday is the deadline for March contract holders to declare whether they want physical metal or they're rolling forward. In a normal delivery month, 2 to 5% stand for delivery. The rest roll or close. The system is designed around that behavior. But this is not a normal month. Sticky February contracts suggested rising appetite for physical. The roll rate heading into first notice will determine how many longs are still standing when the bell rings. And the registered inventory that's supposed to satisfy those delivery demands has been under pressure all week from the Shanghai premium pulling metal east. Think of it as a bank with 2 withdrawal windows. One window serves domestic customers, the COMEX delivery process. The other window serves international customers, the arbitrage flow to Shanghai. Both windows are drawing from the same vault, and the vault started the week at multi-year lows. Now add a third pressure that nobody's discussing, ETF custodians. When silver ETF shares are created, the custodian bank is supposed to acquire physical silver and store it in allocated vaults. Much of that silver sits in the same LBMA and COMEX adjacent vault system. During a physical squeeze, when premiums spike and availability tightens, custodians face pressure to source metal. They're not directly competing with COMEX delivery or Shanghai arbitrage, but they're drawing from the same finite pool. 3 straws in 1 glass, each one drinks faster when the glass gets low. The counter-argument, March delivery will likely proceed normally. Most longs always roll. COMEX has navigated tight months before without incident. True, and I'm not predicting a default. What I'm saying is that the cost of navigating this month may be higher than previous months. Higher margins, more volatility, larger inventory drawdowns. Each month that costs more leaves the system with less capacity. The question isn't whether March breaks the system. It's whether March leaves the system weaker going into April, May, and June. And the answer to that question depends entirely on how much metal leaves the vault this week. Evidence number 5, the industrial demand structure. This connects everything else and gives it a timeline. Premiums, arbitrage, and delivery stress are symptoms. The underlying condition is a structural supply deficit for 5 consecutive years. The Silver Institute documented 680.5 million ounces of industrial demand in 2024, a record. The World Silver Survey shows a deficit of 148.9 million ounces for the year. Solar PV now represents roughly 17% of total silver demand, and it's growing at a rate that has consistently exceeded forecasts. TopCon solar cells, the next generation technology replacing the PERC, use 50 to 80% more silver per panel. Governments worldwide have committed trillions in subsidies to renewable energy mandates that cannot be fulfilled without silver, and supply cannot respond. 70% of silver production comes as a byproduct of base metal mining. Primary silver mines operate near capacity. New mine development takes 7 to 12 years from discovery to first pour. There is no emergency production lever. When demand outstrips supply, the only short-term adjustment mechanism is price. Now connect this to Shanghai. When the world's largest manufacturing economy is paying $100 for silver, it's not speculation. It's because Chinese factories are securing input material for production lines that generate billions in revenue. Their silver purchase is a cost of business, not a trade. When a cost of business rises, the manufacturer doesn't stop buying. They pass the cost forward and keep the line running. Demand becomes inelastic. Price goes up, and the buyer keeps buying. The alternative is shutting down the factory. Now, the counter-argument: industrial users can and do substitute. Thrifting technology has reduced silver content per solar panel for years. That was true. Past tense. The shift to TOPCon and heterojunction cell architecture reversed the thrifting trend. Silver loading per cell is increasing, not decreasing. For the highest conductivity applications, there's no commercially viable substitute at any price. Copper can replace silver in some low-end applications. In high-performance electronics, solar cells, and medical devices, it cannot. The substitution narrative died in 2024 when industrial demand hit a record despite prices that would have triggered substitution in any previous cycle. Now, the verdict. I've given you 5 pieces of evidence. The recycler price confirming physical acquisition, costs above the benchmark. The Shanghai futures premium persisting beyond reopening. Broken arbitrage that drains Western vaults instead of closing the gap. A delivery calendar that compounds the stress, and a structural deficit that ensures demand pressure isn't temporary. I've also given you the strongest counter-arguments I know, because the point of this channel isn't to convince you of a conclusion. It's to give you the tools to reach your own. But I'll tell you what I see. I see a market where the world's largest physical buyer is paying $12 more than the paper exchange. I see a feedback loop where the mechanism designed to close that gap is instead widening it. I see a delivery deadline arriving at the worst possible moment. And I see an underlying supply deficit growing for 5 years. Does that mean COMEX is going to default on Friday? No, I want to be absolutely clear about that. COMEX is an extremely well-engineered system with multiple tools to manage stress. Margin increases, position limits, extended delivery schedules, cash settlement incentives. The exchange can and will use every tool. But here's the distinction that matters. Using those tools is not the same as the system working normally. When a hospital deploys its emergency generators, the lights stay on. The patients survive. But nobody says the hospital had a good day. The generators are a sign that something went wrong, not a sign that everything is fine. If COMEX has to raise margins aggressively, restrict deliveries, or incentivize cash settlement to get through March, the lights stay on. The system survives. But the confidence cost is real, because every tool the exchange uses is an implicit admission. An implicit admission that the paper price and the physical price are diverging. Once market participants internalize that divergence, their behavior changes. They start demanding metal instead of rolling paper. They start paying Shanghai prices instead of COMEX prices. They start treating the Western benchmark as a lagging indicator rather than a leading one. And this behavioral shift is already measurable. Look at how many contracts are standing for physical delivery compared to historical norms. Look at the direction of registered inventory. Look at the persistent Shanghai premium that refuses to close despite being the most obvious arbitrage opportunity on the planet. Each of these data points is telling you the same thing. Market participants are migrating from trust in paper to trust in metal. Not all at once, not dramatically, gradually, but the gradient only moves in one direction. And once trust migrates, it doesn't come back easily, because the first time you demand delivery and the system struggles to provide it, you never fully trust the system again. You become a permanent physical buyer, and permanent physical buyers are what drain vaults. The behavioral shift is the real risk, not a single dramatic failure. A gradual, irreversible transfer of pricing authority from the market that trades paper to the market that delivers metal. And that transfer is already underway. You can see it in the premium. You can see it in the recycler bids. You can see it in the delivery notices. You can see it in 5 consecutive years of deficit. The question I asked at the beginning was simple. Is Shanghai wrong for paying $100? Or is COMEX wrong for saying $80? I've shown you the evidence. Here's my read. When the people who melt silver into products are paying more than the people who trade silver on screens, the people with the furnaces are usually right, because they have skin in the game that the screen doesn't measure. They have factories to run, employees to pay, government contracts to fulfill. Their price isn't based on a model. It's based on necessity. And necessity in commodity markets always wins. The only question is how long the screen takes to admit it. Watch the premium, watch the vault reports, watch the delivery notices. Those 3 data points will tell you more about silver's real price than any analyst, any algorithm, or any headline. The physical market is speaking at $100. Your screen is still translating at 88. The gap between those two numbers is the opportunity, or the warning, depending on which side of it you're standing on. If this breakdown helped you understand what the Shanghai premium actually means, for the COMEX delivery structure, hit the like button. It's free. Leave a comment. Tell me your verdict. Is Shanghai overpaying or is COMEX underpricing? Show your reasoning. I'll pin the best analysis. If you're not subscribed, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Share this with someone who still thinks the price on their broker's screen is the real price. Give them the evidence. Let them decide. As always, take care of yourself and each other. Thanks for watching.